All right, everybody, welcome to the Jacob Gaspard Show with, again, my beautiful wife, Brandy Gaspard, joining us today. So today we're going to cover a little bit about faith and hitting something with the table here. We're going to be covering some stuff about faith and God and business and life and how that kind of ties together with a specific thing about tying into God and listening to, just being in tune with what he's saying and not so much always being about ourselves. And because it's real easy, it's real easy to get tied up in building the business, building the life, and not being a taker, so to speak, but being like always on the take, like always going after. And I'm gonna play a clip from a podcast.
I was like, I gotta listen to this. Like the fact that this little kid even brought up God is just hilarious to me. Yeah. He goes, imagine God gave you a big pizza and you're eating and you're looking back up at God. You're like, God, thank you so much. I love this pizza. And you're finishing and you're eating it, but you can't hear him. He can't talk to you, right? And so then you finish up the pizza and you're like, oh my God, thank you God so much. And then you get another pizza and you're like, oh my God, you're the man, Jesus. And then you start eating it. And he goes, but when you meet God, God goes, that wasn't your pizza. I gave you yours, you ate it. Yeah. The other one was for your neighbor. Wow. And the little kid looks at the camera, and I feel like he's looking right at me, and he goes, have you been giving what you should be giving to others to yourself?
So profound.
Dude, it made me rethink so many things, Charles. Charles, I am a very spoiled human being. I think I am a product of my own environment. I think I've gotten to a place, man, where I'm not only greedy, but I'm prideful. And you know what I'm starting to realize, man? I think we're blind.
It's true.
I think it's the blind leading the blind. You ever...
He goes on to talk about how spoiled he is. So just kind of recap the video if you missed it, and go back and rewatch it though. But we all go through that. We all go through the times of we are so focused on ourselves and what God's giving to us that we forget that God sometimes, many times, gives us things to give to other people. And there's so many reasons for that, I feel like, because whenever sometimes people will only receive things from us or from a certain person. They won't receive it from somebody else. For example, my two oldest daughters and their biological dad are on the outs right now. And if for some reason they wanted to give something to them, they got a baby sister over there, right? They wanted to deliver some presents to that baby sister. And one time they did that, and the dad returned the gifts between the babies, between their baby sister and them, right? And it wasn't because of the gift, and it wasn't because the dad didn't want the baby sister to receive the gift. Is that he didn't want them to receive the gift from them.
Yeah, it was because it was specifically from them.
Right.
Yeah.
So if somebody, so knowing that, right, sometimes, and this might be a bad example, but in order to get the gifts from them, like obviously they didn't think that he would do that, right? But if they wanted to do this in the future, they would have to use someone else. They'd have to go buy the stuff and give it to someone else and say, give this to her. But they can't know it's from me.
That's right.
Right. And that's what God does to us sometimes, is God will tell us to say, that's when we feel him speaking into our hearts and saying, hey, give this to this person, is that they probably already had people that tried to help them people. They might have family members that, you know, it's kind of like your kid won't listen to you because you're the parent,
That's
but
right.
like the neighbor says the very same thing and they're a genius. It's kind of that where God blesses us with a bunch of things and really just everything in this life. But how much of it is for us and how much of it is for us to give away? And that video was that struck pretty deep. What do you think of that?
The first thing that I thought of when I listened to it, and I actually was thinking about that exact thing this morning. Is like when I sit down every morning to, my prayers every morning in my quiet time. And then I usually have a list of things that I'm praying for and a list of people that I'm praying for. But sometimes I'll start praying and before I know it, I've gone through this whole list of things that I need. And I won't even realize it. I'm asking for healing for, the back pain, or I'm asking for peace in this situation or restoration with this relationship, whatever it is. I'm asking for wisdom and guidance and all those things. And then I'll be a couple minutes in and then I'll realize I've been sitting here this whole time just thinking about myself, what I need, what I would like, where I want to go, all those things. And then I have to kind of put myself in check and say, like, wait a minute, if all I ever do is worry about myself and think about myself, that's not doing anything really, So then I'll say, okay, this whole big world we live in, this whole, big world, and there's so many people around who need, could be material things, it could just be a friend, it could be just prayers for anything. So then I'll start to think, okay, let's broaden my scope here. And I'm not the only person on the planet who needs things. And then sometimes my prayer will just be for God to show me who needs what I've got, who needs my prayer, who needs my friendship, who needs me to cook them a meal and bring it to them, or who needs just to pick up the phone and have a conversation. So, because sometimes I won't always know who needs me, but if I don't even know who to pray for, then I'll just ask him, God, who needs me? Who can I help today? What can I do today? So I don't know, but I think it's very easy to get caught up in what does he give me? What can he do for me? How can he help me? And forget that there's a whole entire world out there that needs him also. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it does. I think the same thing where when I think it's everything. I think all of us get caught up in that in every area. I think we do it to ourselves, but I also think we judge others in the same way. Like I get judged all the time for my body. And like people ask me, it's such selfish things like, how do you do that? How do you build? Like, what do you, assuming like people will say shit and assuming like I'm building this for me. Like I have all these muscles and I have this body that either it's like a lucky thing that was given to me, or like I'm building it for what I could get out of it. But they also miss the point of I used to be big and fat.
Mm-hmm.
So when people look at me, I'm not the guy who was skinny and athletic and just put on some extra pounds and here I am.
Right.
Like I had to overcome being 297 with no muscle and just fat. And then I turned that into literally, I just did my scan. It was 12% body fat, 205 pounds. That's saying something. Like that's really saying something. Like I have an enormous amount of muscle for body mass and I'm healthy. My bio age is still 39 as I'm getting older. And a lot of times people will miss the point and think it's a selfish thing. Like I'm walking around at the pool or the beach with my shirt off. And of course I'm proud of the shit. Of course I'm going to flaunt it. I'm going to put it on display. Like I built this, like, I can't buy this. Like
right.
I had to earn this.
That's right.
But it's not for what you think it is. It's to show the guy who is obese that he can do it too.
Right.
It's like you look at my body and I wasn't just born this way. I was the opposite of this. And now I'm in the best shape of my life and getting continuously to get better. So it's not just things that God gave us. Like the guy was talking about the pizza, the money, the things. It's about literally like these podcasts that we do. Like we're putting our lives out there for people to see, and we get judged by it because people will assume that, oh, well, they want to show off. And it's like, but bro, like I really don't have, like where I am now to where I'm going this is not showing off at all. It's kind of embarrassing, really, because it's like I'm nowhere near where I want to be. But when you look by how far I've come and where Jacob started, then if somebody's watching that story, oh man, they're proud.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're super proud because like one of my good friends, like my oldest friend, actually Tracy, was telling me one day of like how proud she was of the me that I am now compared to, not that she wasn't proud of me then or wasn't, like it was just like how far I have come.
Mm-hmm.
Like I used to hide behind people not to talk. And in the conversation, she told me that she thinks it's like me playing music in the band and stuff like that kind of opened me up because literally I was forced to like be in front of people all the time with a microphone, front man exposed. And it's like only people like that are truly your friends and that have known you before and know you now can appreciate the gap that you filled. But there's also the other side, which people call them friends, but they're not friends. And that's the people who knew you before and also know you now and seen the gap that you filled, but they're not as happy for you because they didn't make a move. Right. Mm-hmm. They didn't do anything to change who they are and where they were. And ultimately, those same people don't have anything to give back because God didn't bless them with things to give back because they never gave up things to get the things, to start that siphon, so to speak, right? And in fact, I was just talking about that with my uncle at dinner. And actually it was Renee Dortez. And I told him, I was like, God blessed me to be able to bless y'all with this. It's fine. Like, and I said, if I don't do this, then God's going to turn off the blessings to me because he gave me this to give to you. So it's the same thing. Like it's literally like a siphon. So like as soon as you stop the flow to get it going again, like you got to create the suction to start this hose with the fluid going again. And it's difficult to do that because you get a mouthful of gas and like there's a bunch of stuff that is very unpleasant about it. But once it's flowing, it'll never stop. And until the blessings run out. But we all know God is all abundant and will never run out. So there's so many things that we can look at in life to give to other people, bless other people, encourage other people, that it's not just about money and it's not just about the things that you could give. It's literally more specifically about the examples you can leave for other people. I think those are more important. In fact, I was just talking with a lady that we're about to do a podcast with, and that was one of the things. It's like the examples that you lead with. And I was talking to her about your kids watch you. Like your kids don't do what you say, they do what you do. And I said, the reason I talk to men, and I might have mentioned this on the last podcast that you and I did, but when I talk to men, especially about their daughters, because if you got a boy, it's kind of like, yeah, you don't want your boy to be shit. But like when you got a little girl and she's going to choose a piece of shit, daddies don't like that. Daddies shouldn't like that. And I told her, I was like, how I get to dads is, I have them imagine that their baby girls marry a man just like they are. And every time you say it, the guy's like, well, that's not too bad. But no, not what you are right here in public. Is what you are in private. What you are when the doors close and the room is dark and your computer screen's up and all of those things.
Right.
That's who she's going to marry.
Yeah.
Like the dark you, the dark side of you. That's what she's going to marry.
Yeah. Not the public version. That's right.
So you good with that? And they're watching. You're training them on how to do things. So I think it's the same thing in the general public. People watching. People are looking. Like every day I got new followers on Instagram, especially since we started this thing back up. And again, like I'm looking at it with myself. I'm like, okay, not that I'm being fake, is that I want to be better. So I don't look at it as, oh, well, I can't do that. Like I normally do that, but I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
It's like, no, dude, like I shouldn't be doing that regardless. Like, let me stop doing that. Let me be better. I'm trying to be calmer while I drive. I'm trying to not get so bent out of shape, because somebody's going to see me online talking about being patient, and then they're going to see me freaking like running over somebody because,
Right.
they're being an idiot on the road. Well, those two things are not congruent. And again, I'm saying this like we all fall short, like everybody fails at this, but it's like, again, none of us are rewarded for our intentions. We're rewarded for the results.
That's right.
And we give grace because of the intentions, right? Like you'll give me grace because my intentions weren't to hurt your feelings, right? But I did. So you could either punish me or you could offer grace, right? But you're not going to offer me grace on the result. The result, the results are results, So yeah, whatever we have to give, or better stated, all the things that we have, how much of it, how many things are in this room that are not mine? They should be given to someone else. I have 2 Bibles right there. Do I need them or should I give one? Now I'm just saying that because they're 2 different translations, and I go back and forth with it. But just to say, like, there's so many things in life that we have, the food that we have. Can we fix a plate and bring it to the neighbor,
Right. For sure.
But we think, well, we don't want to offend them. Well, but when you feel that on the inside, 9 times out of 10, let's just use the neighbor, for example. Man, I probably should just fix a plate and bring that to them. Knowing nothing. That's the Holy Spirit telling you, hey, the neighbor needs this. The neighbor might not need the food. The neighbor might need you to go knock on the door to simply say, hey, I'm here thinking about you. It's more about that than the food. But it could be the neighbor's going through such a rough time and nobody ever knows. And he's trying to get back on top, and he's trying to keep his image together like we all do. But he ain't ate in 3 days. And you get this Holy Spirit feeling to bring him food, and you might bring it, he hasn't eaten in 3 days, and you literally saved his life with that. It could be that. We don't know. And I think too many times we think we do know. I think it's what faith is, but.
Yeah. And I look at it as our life is a journey. There's a starting point and an ending point, right? And it's just like when you say your walk of faith, we walk the journey each and every day. And it's just like anything else, you have to grow into it. Just like you grow physically, you have to grow spiritually and mentally and emotionally. And we say this all the time. If somebody's starting a journey, let's just say it's a weight loss journey, right? Well, when you first start out, you don't start out, or you shouldn't start out doing all the things. You baby step. You might cut out soft drinks and only drink water. And then after a while, okay, well, then you're going to start doing more than just walking. You're going to start lifting weights. You're going to start maybe cleaning up your diet even a little bit more. You're going to cut out certain things. And so then as your journey progresses, you keep learning, you keep growing, and you keep doing more things, right? And I think your faith journey is the same way. So if you are, let's just say, a new believer and new in the faith, you're going to start out maybe having your little prayer time every day, and then you're going to move on, and you're going to maybe find a church to go to, maybe not. Then you're going to, okay, well, I'm going to start reading my Bible every day. Then I'm going to start writing my prayers down every single day. And then your prayers are going to be probably things that you need from him, from God. You need help with, you need guidance, you need wisdom, you need strength. And then as it goes and you grow, well, then you need to start looking at other people who are growing in their faith and say, well, they're where I used to be. So how can I help them along their journey? right? And then eventually you can't just stay in that place where all your prayers are about yourself and your worries are about yourself. You have to start looking, okay, well, what does God want for me now? What's the next step? Who can I help? Maybe it's a mission trip. Maybe it's volunteering somewhere. Maybe it's just being a mentor to somebody younger than you, or, I mean, there's so many different things, but it's just a part of the journey where you just have to keep growing. And it's not, you'll realize it's not all about you, that there's this big old world and God has people in it that he has for you, set apart for you to help along the way. So
Yeah. I think it's, God, everything's so tied in where I think it's a lack. I think it's more of a lack of going to God each day. I think people are so accustomed to being told that by another person what to do, how to think, what to believe, that they're not in tune with God. They don't even know how to be in tune with God to even like try to figure out and listen to and hear his voice. I think it's more they go to church, they listen to the pastor, which nothing, I'm not knocking that. I'm just saying, you go to church on Sunday, you listen to the pastor, you take that. And I'm saying, if you're like the good Christian, right? You go to church every Sunday, you listen to the pastor, you take your stuff, you apply it in your life every week. You're doing this over and over again. In my view, like most people look at that and be like, oh man, like he's killing it. He's such a great Christian. And I look at it, that to me, that's one of the most selfish things that you could do, because what are you doing for the people? Like, you're not even trying to talk. First off, you're not talking to God and then taking time to listen, to let him download the things to you of what he wants you to do. And then you're taking that and then you're going to church and you're letting another man speak into your life who probably don't even know what's going on in your life. And then you're kind of deciphering which parts to pick and choose to apply. And then you apply that during the week and then probably talk to somebody, try to get them to come to church with you because you're a good Christian.
yeah,
And they're not. And you're trying to get them along. All the while, the person you're trying to get to come to church could very well never go to church, but every morning be going and praying and talking to God and listening.
that's right.
Yeah. And what you don't know is that guy packs an extra lunch to drop off to the homeless guy on the corner to do. You follow me?
Yeah.
Like, I think it's conditioned learning into that, where you almost have to unlearn everything you've been taught about God and church and all the stuff to really like apply the systems that God wants you to apply. You know, it goes back to, I mean, literally everything. When I read the Bible and I talk about, or like I read about the tithe, like it doesn't say tithe to the pastor of the church. It says to the storehouse. Well, what's the storehouse? And like, that's the argument that's been going on for years, you know? And in my view, I'm kind of like, well, when I read it, to me, it's like you put it in a place to where when people need it, they can go get it. Well, what does that mean? Right. And I don't know, I don't want to get into a church bashing thing because it's not what I'm trying to do. And, at all. I just think there's so many discrepancies from what the church says and to what we should be doing, listening to God. Because church is great. You know, I mean, you meet people at church, like all of us suck. So like whenever people try to do the hierarchy thing, it makes me giggle because it's like, dude, we all sinners, we all suck, we all doing things wrong. But once you realize that, then it's like, you don't have a choice but to go to God, because like the pastor is a sinner just like you.
That's right.
And the deacons and the priests and every person on the planet is a sinner just like you. All of us are a little more educated than other people. All of us are at different levels. All of us have something to learn from everybody else.
That's right.
Every single one of us.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
I say all of what I said, meaning instead of trying to go to like, don't place your whole world in one person, because it's going to fall apart. Like if you're going to place it in one place, it needs to be God and go to him. And listen. After you pray, listen. What does he want you to do? Because then, like, this thing goes so deep, because it's like, when, see how I want to say this, when you realize that we own nothing and God owns everything, then that should, if that doesn't humble you, you're pretty hopeless, because we're all on different playing fields, but they're all owned by him.
Mm-hmm.
So, I
Right.
don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. He gives us gifts, right? And everybody's got a different gift that it's unique to them, right? And he gives them to us so that we can use them to help others, so we can serve others. That's the whole point. And I think that a lot of times the people that you see who are struggling, or who are depressed or anxious or just, sad, you see miserable people, I think a lot of times they're that way because they're not using the gifts for the purpose that God intended, to help someone else.
Mm,
And if they would just take those gifts and use them for what he intended, then I think it would change everything. They would feel happy, they would feel joy, they would feel peace, they would feel more fulfilled. But that's just my opinion.
no, that's like, what I'm going to say here is going to sound harsh, but it's exactly what you're saying. Like, if you find $1,000 on the street, you could go and buy you like something cool with it, like a gun, a guitar, or whatever. Or you can, like, a person right now that it would change their life,
Mhm.
because they can pay the bill or keep the
Yeah.
house, like pay the medical bill, whatever it is, but you don't give it to them and you go buy the thing with it. It's like, you feel like shit immediately, because you should have given it to them.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's the same thing. Like,
Yeah.
most people are miserable. It's because they know what they're doing and they shouldn't be doing.
Or they're not doing something that they should be. And I mean, if I know from my own experience, I've never regretted giving something
This is so
to someone. I've never regretted, like you said, if you, it could be money, it could be time, you could volunteer. Like, I've never regretted it. And even if, let's say I gave it, if it was money, just to, for argument's sake, let's just say I gave money to somebody because they needed it, right? I felt it in my heart that that's what I was supposed to do. And I gave that money to that person, and they used the money for something that was not the intention, right? I still don't regret it. I still don't say, oh, I shouldn't have gave him that money. No, no, no. God put that on my heart for a reason to give that. Once that money is out of my hands, it's no longer on me what they do with it, right? Like, if I truly felt that that's what he wanted me to do, then that's not on me anymore.
Right.
When he says give without question.
Right. Because we don't know what God's going to do with that.
We don't know. That's right.
There was a time where I went to Missouri and I met a guy at a hotel, and like, literally he was living there because he was homeless and all kind of things. He was an alcoholic and everything. Anyway, I felt God say, give him some money. So I gave him some money, and he didn't want it. And, same thing. Another time I went on the side of an interstate.
Yeah.
And I gave a dude $100.
I remember.
And
that.
he told me, he got angry, and he told me all he was going to do was go buy beer with it. And I said, it doesn't matter what you do with it. God told me to give it to you. And he got even more angry. And again, the guy at the hotel, I'm pretty sure he went buy beer with it. But at the end of the day, is I did what I was supposed to do. So we don't know how God uses that. And because in my mind, I'm thinking God could use it, and then he feels a little guilty about it, right? So like, the guy goes by the beer, he might feel a little guilty about it. Well, enough of those times he's might get it, right? And he might flip, right?
Seed. That's right.
And that's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
He might come back and be like, man, why did this guy, like, what made him, and then it brings him closer to God. But on the flip side, it just doesn't matter, because I did what I was supposed to do, and how God uses it is irrelevant.
Mm-hmm.
Because how many times we do things to help people, but it's not the help they needed. Like, we truly got somebody out of a bind, but all it did was enable them.
Yeah.
But that doesn't work either. So who are we to decide what's good or bad?
That's it.
Or how it should be used?
That's right.
So when God tells you to give it, it's, look, when God tells you to give it, you have to give it.
Yeah. Without
And
question, without,
that's right.
yeah.
But when you want to control it, now you're God.
As you're trying to be. Yeah.
And now you're all knowing and you know what's best, not only for you, but for that person who you don't even know.
Yeah.
And how fair is that?
Yeah.
And you just, I mean, literally you're an idiot because like, there's no way for you to know. And again, talking about the church, sometimes people say that, well, I don't give to the church because I don't agree with how they spend the money. Okay, well, don't give to the church, but you can't tell me with clear conscience and a good heart that you truly felt God tell you to give to the church and then have that attitude.
Right. If
Because,
you're right.
right.
That's right.
Because you shouldn't, you give it now, you're giving to the church out of spite almost, or like out of obligation or guilt because you think you're supposed to,
That's what you're
or
supposed
like
to do.
you're guilted in by the pastor or whoever to give, but you didn't feel that God wanted you to give. God might have wanted you to give the money somewhere else. God might have wanted you to save the money for your family. He might have wanted you to pay a bill. Follow what God wants.
Yeah.
Not what any other person says. Yeah. And if he says, because there are many times I gave lots of money to the church. Do I think they're spending it wisely? No, I really don't. Like, I mean, I just don't.
Yeah, we just
like,
don't know.
But like, it's not my place because that's between them and God. But that's if God tells me to give it to the church, I give it to the church.
Yeah. Because I mean, how many times God will tell you to give to someone, but he doesn't tell me. Often. And so when you come and you say, hey, God said, I feel it on my heart that God's telling me to give this to this person. And I'm going to say, okay. And then there are some times we'll both have that little feeling, and then we'll say, okay, well, how much? And most of the time, the amount that's in my head is the same amount that's in your head because he put the same amount on both our hearts. And so, you know, he'll tell you what to do. You just have to listen. But
you have to go to him.
Like he'll tell you,
You can't hear his voice if you don't have a relationship with him.
That's right.
And that's the whole point of everything we're talking about. It's like back to the video, that little boy happy about the pizza, but then gets to heaven and realizes that one wasn't for you.
That one wasn't for you.
Well, how was he supposed to know?
Yeah.
If he'd have been tapped in to a relationship with God, you would know.
Yeah. And I don't know about you, and I don't know about most people, but God never speaks to me in a loud voice. He never yells at me. Sometimes I like to joke around and say he talks to me through his teeth because I don't listen. But when he talks to me, it's almost always a whisper. And so I'm not going to hear it if it's not quiet and I'm not listening for it. You know what I'm saying? Like I have to take the time to sit down and have the conversation with him and to listen for what he's going to say, because I don't feel like he ever yells at me. It's almost always a whisper. The feeling that I get is like a whisper on the inside. And so if I'm not listening, and if there's too much chaos going on around me and it's too loud, I'll never hear it. I have to turn everything down, and I have to sit in the peace and the quiet to be able to truly hear what he has to say.
Well, I mean, that makes so much sense, because what does the devil come to do?
Create chaos, steal, kill, destroy, cause a panic,
so
instill fear.
When he comes to steal, people think, coming to steal things, but they don't see coming to steal your focus,
your peace,
your quiet, the relationship you have with God, the distraction that he brings. And that's what he does it by distraction. Yes. He's not going to do it with major things, because you know that's wrong. You know the difference. But with loudness, verbally loud, just audible, right? Loud, but just busyness, chaos. The world is so busy and so fast, and everybody's grabbing so hard at the things that it's like the grind culture that people talk about now. It's like, I mean, even I fell into that and realized pretty quick that all you're doing is wearing yourself out. Like, grinding is the weirdest thing that you could do, because if you're aligned, you don't need a grind.
Yeah.
And there's such an easier way to get where you want to go if you're aligned. Because again, I was just talking about God room. And when you're aligned, there's so much you don't know and you can't control. But that's the point, because all of that extra room that you don't know gets filled with God. That's God room. You let him fill that space.
Yeah.
So here's your choice. You could fill it with grind and hustle and all of this stuff that you know you can control, but it doesn't yield anything. When God multiplies things, you don't know what it'll yield, but it'll be damn sure more than what you can yield
on your own. Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, good.
That's
Anything
it.
else you want to add?
Nope.
All right. Well, those of you watching, we hope this blurry thing, our internet is seemed to be sucking, but hopefully all the audio at least comes out to where you can hear
you
it.
can at least hear it.
But we thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time. And go share the podcast if you got something good from it. Share the clips that'll be cut up on social media, and invite a friend to listen to it with you next time. And if you need anything, you know how to reach out to us, all on social and the websites. So jacobgaspard.com, the Jacob Gaspard on the socials, and shoot us a DM. We love you guys. Talk to you next time.